Nigeria's military says it will use maximum firepower to uproot the armed forces that are behind mounting insecurity in that country. There are concerns that the violence could impact the general election scheduled for February next year.
The Nigerian Air Force's head, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao, addressed commanders during a meeting, saying the security situation remains fluid and uncertain. Attacks by armed groups in the northeast and kidnappings for ransom and killings of villagers in the northwest have become an almost daily occurrence in Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari announced on Tuesday that the Nigerian government had given security forces, quote, full freedom to deal with and bring to an end this madness, unquote. Buhari spoke after a spate of attacks last weekend by gunmen in 3 northern states, which left scores of people dead. On Tuesday, the Nigerian police said it deployed additional manpower around Abuja to bolster security days after local reports of an attack at a checkpoint near the capital. Security will be a major issue when Nigerians vote for a new president in February to succeed Buhari, who cannot stand again after serving the 2 terms permitted by the Constitution.
Deyemi Saka is a political and independent intelligence analyst and joins us now more for this. A very good evening to you and thank you so much for speaking to us. So to your understanding, how will Nigeria's military use maximum firepower to uproot the armed groups?
Well, my understanding of what the statement credited to the military chiefs is probably they want to go full bridge, full force, deploy all military assets without holding anything back. But it's not a conventional war. This is an asymmetric war, which a lot of people call urban warfare, because if you look at the area of responsibility, which we can call the BZ or the battle zone, it's probably more in urban settlement, which is called urban conflict. And I'm not going to sit down here and question the trainings or the manpower, how equipped they had to conduct such operations in an urban area. They've over years, over time, they've demonstrated the resolve, and a lot of us have been clamoring back in Nigeria that rather than sit back and become reactionary, we want them to take the battle, the war to the terrorists. And maybe with this pronouncement, a few months from now, maybe we're probably seeing an upturn of fortunes. Maybe the tides now will be in the favor of the Nigerian government, the Nigerian military, and the Nigerian people.
Just the dynamics that you just mentioned on where the battle would be fought, so to speak, you say it was asymmetrical, would be largely be in urban territory. What kind of tactics would then have to be employed, including who will be part of that operation? Because the statement here being made by the Air Force, would it involve a lot more of the security forces?
Well, expectedly, if you want to rely on probably the concept of operations of previous operations using templates of similar operations, you would want to rely more of a tactical approach to this. It's not just massive going in there with boots onto the door and gun blazing. We have to rely more on intelligence gathering, and for us to get utmost precision in this operation, we need to rely more on humans. Humans is human intelligence. And away from that, we need to deploy more drones. And that's a way to reduce the combative and the non-combative collateral damages. The drones that will be deployed, drones that can go on recon, drones that can engage on operations. I probably will sit down here and can give you one. Maybe a Predator can do that and will give us precise bombing, precise attack, neutralizing the terrorists in their camps or when they are mobile, which means when they are mobile. So these are things we need to deploy. These are the kind of assets I want us to deploy. I'm expecting the Nigerian government to deploy. Yes, the government says they've procured about procuring, or maybe they've taken delivery of some attack helicopters. I expect these attack helicopters to be deployed to give ground troops or operatives what is called close air support. With all this in place, with all this rightly deployed, and with the commitment from the service chiefs, the commitment from the soldiers, and the agents of the counterterrorism unit and the DSS, which is the secret police of the country. Well, we can't win this war. This war is winnable. This success can be achieved within 3-6 months.
Can that success be achieved without civilian casualty, given the fact that some of these areas are populous, and the fact that the militants have also carried out a number of attacks outside of their northeastern enclave? It's raising fears that their networks may be spreading to other parts of the country. So I'm wondering which other parts of the country are vulnerable as well.
Well, it's safe to say the whole country is on red alert against terrorist attack. And if any right-thinking country, any right-thinking government would probably want to put into consideration the United States government attack and neutralization of ours, or I was wary of the Al-Qaeda. And whether we like it or not, we know we should acknowledge the relationship between ISWAP and Boko Haram, their allegiance with Al-Qaeda. So for me, I think the whole country is on high alert. And when you talk about casualty or collateral damages, I think with the right intelligence gathering and with the right deployment of military assets or defense assets, how you want to put it, we should have little or no human casualty, because it will be easy for us to isolate and battlegrounds or flashpoints and probably the hideouts of terrorists, and except maybe they have kidnappers in their den or with them, or which they want to use as human shield. Without that, I think their campsite is easily identifiable if the government wants to do it. And once the campsite is identified, there's no need for you to go in there, go in with handcuffs. Please neutralize these guys and we'll move forward. If in line with conventional practices across the globe. If they surrender, yes, you can arrest, but if they engage, please neutralize them.
Just if you can give us a sense or an inventory of the government's resources, hard and soft military resources. And I also want to understand, you mentioned earlier on that there's been a clamour for this to have been done earlier on. The tactics that government has employed before, including designating the bandits as terrorists, but the military's response itself has been seen as sporadic. Can it learn from that?
Yeah, when the government, listening at the equipment we have, when the government went procuring 10 Tucano jets from US, a lot of us found that it said we don't need Tucano or Tucanos, that what we needed more of attack helicopters. I can sit there and tell comfortably that the Nigerian Air Force is equipped with some of the attack helicopters that some of us has been suggesting, Augusta, and that is MH35, 37 series, and some of us are pushing for procurement of Apache. Yes, I know America might not be willing to sell us the fourth generation, which is the fourth grade, but might as well do us the favor of giving us the first and the second generation. And with that, this war is winnable. And I think the government has been able to reach an agreement with the United States government, and that should be delivered anytime soon. So with that and with the attack helicopters we have on ground and with the personnel on ground, yes, I know there's been massive recruitment and enlistment into the armed forces across board. The secret police are up to it. And with that, with the right deployment, I think, most importantly, the political will and the right command from the commander-in-chief, we will get it done.
Okay, now President Buhari has said that the Nigerian government has given security forces full freedom to deal with and bring to end this madness. How do you see this playing out? And I'm just thinking about the high levels of frustration amongst the various communities that have been vulnerable to the insurgents and bandits, but also the military that seems to be humiliated. Could it see people using unsanctioned tactics to deal with it?
You said something rightfully while introducing this topic. that elections are coming up next year, and if the security is not guaranteed, if the security is not promoted, there's threat to that election coming, there's threat to democracy in place. But well, it's a good thing that the president is making such pronouncement, but some of us are asking why now? Why? These people has been running riots over the country for the past 7 years of your administration, maybe it's 4 years before you got into office. We should. I don't know. I don't see anything. I'm not seeing this pronouncement or directive from Mr. President as a new one. What I would consider new or different is when I see, a commensurating action or reactions from the military in terms of conquest and success of successful operations. Then I cannot take that pronouncement seriously. I cannot take that pronouncement as a patriotic pronouncement, and I can take it as a one coming from a commander-in-chief, and a commander-in-chief that is willing for the very first time to as a commander-in-chief, because the buck stop at his table. We've been having attacks. He's been having series of security meetings. He's been having series of security briefings. By the constitutional provisions, Mr. President is the head of the National Defense Council, the National Security Council. And these two councils stipulated on, established by the Constitution, advises and give him reports on how to deal with issues of national security and national defense. And I don't think what we've seen in the last 7 years is a reflection of if such institutions are in place, or if Mr. President is actually taking into considerations their observations or their suggestions. But he has given a new pronouncement. Let's wait if it's just going to be the usual rhetorics or it's going to be words backed with actions.
All right, thank you so much for your time and your insights. Much, much appreciated. Deyemi Saka is an independent political and intelligent analyst speaking to us from Lagos in Nigeria.